1990p. What if I told you that a simple nickel you carried in your pocket back in 1990, maybe one you used at the gas station, or dropped into a payphone, could today be worth far more than its face value? Imagine, a 5-cent coin, the kind you barely glanced at, now sitting in the spotlight of collectors across the nation. Let me take you back for a moment. Picture the year 1990, George H.W. Bush was president, families were still swapping VHS tapes on Friday nights, and Jefferson's Monticello nickel quietly rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint. Millions were produced, yes, but hidden among those millions are rare survivors, coins struck with unusual precision, coins with tiny errors invisible to the untrained eye, coins that have turned into treasures 3 decades later. For some collectors, discovering one of these nickels was like stumbling across a time capsule, a direct link to their youth, to simpler days. Here's what makes the 1990p Jefferson Nickels so desirable: the Philadelphia Mint mark. The P rests just beside Jefferson's portrait. In most cases, it's ordinary. But a small number were struck with dramatic minting errors, doubled features, off-center strikes, and unusually sharp steps on Monticello's base, something collectors call full steps. When these details align, the coin instantly leaps from a casual pocket change nickel to one sought after in auctions, sometimes commanding hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its grade and rarity. Think about it, how many times have we all tossed our spare change into a jar, or handed over nickels without a second thought? Countless people have unknowingly spent away their chance at history, letting coins worth a collector's dream slip right through their fingers. Someone out there probably bought a soda with a coin that could have paid a mortgage bill today. That's the power of what's hiding in plain sight. So here's where it gets exciting. If you've got a 1990 nickel, take it out and give it a closer look. The date must read 1990 with the Philadelphia P Mint mark. Pay close attention to the fine steps at the bottom of Monticello's image. The sharper and clearer, the better. Errors such as doubling on Jefferson's profile or slight misalignments can make the coin even more desirable, and once you suspect you have something special, don't just leave it sitting in a drawer. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can confirm its rarity, give it an official grade, and open the doors for collectors willing to pay top dollar for it. So the next time you glance at that old coin jar in your kitchen, remember this: you might not just be holding loose change, you could be holding a piece of history, a coin that connects your past to your future. Treasure hunting doesn't always mean digging in the dirt, sometimes it starts right in your own home. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures today, because together we uncover the stories, the history, and yes, the hidden fortune in coins you already own. 1992d. What if I told you that a simple nickel, the kind you might have tossed into a piggy bank as a child, could be worth thousands of dollars today? Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks so ordinary, yet collectors across the country are fighting to own it. The 1992d Jefferson nickel, with its Monticello design, is one of those hidden treasures. Let me share a story with you. A man in Colorado once brought a handful of nickels to a coin shop, just trying to trade them in for face value. The shop owner noticed something unusual about one of them, a Monticello Jefferson nickel from 1992 with a faint but significant detail that most people would miss. That single coin, pulled from everyday change, turned out to be worth more than his entire coin jar combined. This nickel wasn't just pocket change anymore, it was a piece of history, and a ticket to a small fortune. So what makes the 1992d Jefferson nickel so valuable? It comes down to rarity and precision. Minted in Denver, this coin carries the D mark, but what sets it apart is the strike. Certain examples show stronger details and subtle errors in the Monticello design that collectors crave. These aren't just nickels, they're time capsules, surviving over 3 decades without being lost to wear, circulation, or forgetfulness. Their scarcity, combined with collector demand, has pushed values into the thousands for high-grade, certified examples. Now here's the part that stings: many people have already spent these coins without realizing their worth. A nickel given to a cashier. A coin tossed into a vending machine. A treasure lost in plain sight. Every time that happens, another piece of American history slips away. Don't let that be your story. If you're wondering whether you might have one, start with the date. 1992, struck in Denver with the D mint mark. Then study the Monticello design, look closely at the sharpness of the steps and the clarity of Jefferson's profile. These small details transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. Hold it up to the light, and you might just notice the signs that separate a common nickel from a rare collectible, and if you think you found one, don't guess, get it checked. Trusted grading companies like PCGS or NGC can certify its authenticity and value, turning your discovery into a verified treasure. Reputable dealers can also help, but the key is to act before the opportunity passes. So the next time you open that dusty jar of change sitting in your kitchen, remember, it's not just spare coins. It could be your future, quietly waiting to be found. The 1992 D. Jefferson nickel is proof that history hides in the most ordinary of places. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we uncover the secrets of coins like these, because your next handful of change could hold the key to something extraordinary. 1993 What if a nickel sitting forgotten in your drawer could be worth thousands today? Imagine the same coin you once used to buy a pack of gum now holding enough value to change someone's life. The 1993 Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel isn't just spare change, it's a hidden treasure that collectors are scrambling to find. Picture this: an older gentleman in Pennsylvania, cleaning out an old cigar box his father left him. Inside were dozens of nickels, most ordinary, but one stood out. A 1993 Jefferson nickel, untouched, shining with a slight error no one had noticed before. That coin, pulled from everyday pocket change 3 decades ago, turned out to be worth far more than face value. It wasn't just a nickel, it was a piece of American history, carrying with it the memories of a time when coins were trusted companions in every transaction. So, what makes this coin so valuable? The 1993 Monticello nickel is known among collectors for rare die varieties, striking errors, and high-grade conditions that almost never survived circulation. Coins minted in Philadelphia that year carry the P mark, and when preserved in pristine condition or struck with a slight flaw, their demand skyrockets. While millions were made, only a small handful survive in the kind of state collectors crave, and that scarcity drives up the price. Far too many people have spent these rare nickels without realizing their true worth. Imagine the heartbreak of giving away a coin that could fetch thousands, just because it looked ordinary. It's happened countless times. Collectors often say the saddest words in coin history are, "I had one of those, but I spent it." That's why recognizing these treasures before they slip away is so important. When holding a 1993 Jefferson nickel, you want to see the P mint mark right under the year. Look closely at Monticello on the reverse side. Many valuable examples show doubling or striking issues that make them stand out. The condition is everything. A nickel in uncirculated or near-perfect shape can bring astonishing returns, while circulated examples still carry collector interest. And here's where the real magic happens: if you think you've got one of these nickels, don't just toss it back into change. Have it authenticated and graded by trusted services like PCGS or NGC. Once verified, its true market value comes alive, and collectors will line up to add it to their collections. That old jar of coins in your kitchen? That dusty box in your attic? One simple nickel from 1993 might be waiting to tell its story, and that story could very well change yours. Every coin carries history, and some carry fortune. So before you overlook the next nickel you come across, take a closer look. It may be far more than just spare change. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the history and hidden wealth that's been sitting in plain sight all along. 1995 D. What if I told you that a simple nickel, one you may have held in your pocket back in the 1990s, could now be worth thousands of dollars? Imagine the very coin you once used for a cup of coffee, or slipped into a gumball machine, being the same coin collectors are hunting for today, desperate to add it to their collection. Back in 1995, the Denver Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels, each one carrying the proud image of Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's timeless legacy. Most of these coins circulated without a second thought, vanishing into the everyday rhythm of American life. But a small handful carried something different, something rare, something extraordinary. These are the nickels that slipped through unnoticed, tucked away into jars, change drawers, and old wallets, quietly waiting for their story to be rediscovered. What makes the 1995 Jefferson Nickels so special is not just its age, but the stunning errors and striking details found on select coins. Some were minted with doubled features that make Jefferson's portrait appear almost ghostly. Others display subtle die flaws that set them apart from the ordinary. These rare variations, coupled with pristine condition, can drive value soaring into the thousands, transforming a coin most would dismiss as pocket change into a true treasure of American history. Think about this for a moment. How many times have people spent these rare nickels without ever knowing what they had? Stories circulate of individuals who unknowingly handed one over at a gas station or dropped it into a vending machine. The opportunity was literally in their hand, yet it slipped away forever. Every day, collectors are willing to pay serious money for these nickels, and every day, someone else loses the chance to claim that reward. If you're searching your coins, remember this. The date should read 1995 with the unmistakable D mint mark just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Turn the coin and study Monticello carefully. Are the steps clear, sharp, and fully visible? That detail alone can multiply its worth. Look closely at Jefferson's face and inscriptions for any doubling or irregularities. These are the signs that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, and when you believe you found one, don't second-guess yourself. Trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and certify the coin's condition and rarity. A verified coin is no longer just a nickel, it becomes a certified piece of history with a documented value in the collector's market. So, before you dismiss that jar of change sitting in your kitchen, think again. It could be holding more than memories, it could be holding your future. The 1995 Jefferson nickel is living proof that treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for someone with the eye and the passion to recognize them. If you love uncovering the hidden wealth of America's past, subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you discover history resting in the palm of your hand. 1996. What if I told you that a nickel from 1996, one you might have held in your very own hands while buying a cup of coffee or giving change to a grandchild, could now be worth thousands of dollars? It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? But hidden in plain sight, the 1996 Monticello Jefferson nickel has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of coin collecting. Picture this: a retired gentleman in Pennsylvania, sorting through an old cigar box of coins his father left him. Most of them were ordinary, a few wheat pennies, some tarnished dimes, and a handful of nickels. But there it was, a 1996 Jefferson nickel with a faint, almost ghostly strike. He thought nothing of it until curiosity led him to a coin show. To his amazement, collectors gathered around, whispering about the rarity of that little 5-cent piece. What he thought was pocket change turned out to be worth more than he ever dreamed. So why is the 1996 Monticello Jefferson nickel so valuable? This coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carries hidden mysteries. Some have weak strikes, where Jefferson's portrait or the Monticello details appear faded. Others feature rare die errors that set them apart from millions of ordinary nickels. The demand for pristine, high-grade examples has soared, with collectors paying extraordinary sums to secure them. And here's the truth: even a simple nickel, if preserved well or carrying one of these striking flaws, can be worth far more than its face value. Too many times, I've heard the same heartbreaking story. Someone finds an unusual nickel, shrugs it off as just another coin, and spends it without a second thought. Weeks later, they discover that very type of nickel was selling for hundreds, even thousands, at auction. It's a reminder that history, value, and opportunity can slip right through our fingers if we aren't paying attention. So, how can you know if you have one? The date must be 1996, with a clear P mint mark on the obverse. The Monticello design on the reverse should be examined carefully. Look for weak or missing steps, unusual strike details, or anything that looks imperfect. And if the coin is in brilliant, uncirculated condition, it could be worth a small fortune to the right buyer. If you believe you found one of these rare nickels, don't guess, verify it. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, unlocking its true market value. Even local coin shops or trusted dealers can give you insight into what you may be holding. So tonight, when you open that old coffee tin, that mason jar in the attic, or that drawer filled with change you haven't touched in years, remember, a single 1996 P Monticello nickel could change everything. Coins like this remind us that history isn't just in museums, it's in our homes, waiting to be rediscovered. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the wealth of history hiding in plain sight. 1984 P. What if I told you that a simple nickel, the kind you might have tossed into a gumball machine back in the 1980s, could today be worth far more than its face value, even thousands of dollars? Imagine the power of a single coin, forgotten in a jar or hiding in a drawer, holding the key to an unexpected fortune. I remember a story of a man in Pennsylvania who spent his childhood playing with coins from his father's pocket change. Decades later, while sorting through an old box, he spotted a Jefferson nickel that looked oddly sharp and flawless compared to the rest. That coin turned out to be a rare 1984 P Monticello nickel, one that collectors had been searching for. Suddenly, something he once overlooked became a prized possession, a bridge between the memory of his father and the world of rare coin collecting. The 1984 P Monticello nickel isn't just any coin. What makes it truly extraordinary is the strength of its strike, the detail in Jefferson's portrait, and the presence of certain rare errors from that year. Some coins from the Philadelphia Mint were struck with such precision that they reveal features collectors crave, while others carry subtle die flaws or doubling that send their value skyrocketing. To the untrained eye, it may look like any other nickel. But to those who know what to look for, it's a discovery worth celebrating, a coin in high demand, chased after by serious collectors willing to pay dearly for it. Far too many of these nickels have slipped through the cracks. People spent them without knowing, passed them down without checking, or simply let them disappear into circulation. Every day, someone unknowingly hands over a piece of history in exchange for 5 cents of candy. That loss is not just financial, it's a chance to hold something rare, something meaningful, something that carries a story from 1984 into the present. Here's what makes this nickel one worth searching for: the date, 1984, must carry the P Mint mark from Philadelphia. Look closely at Jefferson's profile, the sharpness of his image matters. Flip the coin and pay attention to Monticello. On certain versions, the steps are fully struck, an incredibly rare detail that dramatically increases value. Others show unique doubling, which transforms an ordinary coin into a treasure. If you believe you found one, don't rely on guesswork. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC exist for a reason. They verify authenticity, grade the condition, and establish market value. That little nickel could move from your pocket to a certified holder, and from there, into the hands of eager collectors who recognize its worth. So, before you overlook that old jar of coins sitting in your kitchen, take one more careful look. Because inside, you might find not just a piece of change, but a piece of history, a coin that connects your memories to a brighter future. And if you want to keep uncovering these treasures hiding in plain sight, subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story is worth a fortune. 1978. What if a simple nickel from 1978, one you may have handled countless times at the grocery store or tucked into a child's piggy bank, could now be worth thousands of dollars? Imagine that, spare change from your pocket back in the late 70s now turning into a treasure capable of changing someone's life today. Back in 1978, America was in the middle of change. Gas was cheap by today's standards, families gathered around their television sets, and the nickel, bearing Thomas Jefferson's timeless profile, was just another everyday coin. But not all of those nickels were ordinary. A rare batch slipped through the presses without a mint mark, a tiny detail that most people never even noticed. Picture a man decades later, cleaning out his father's coin jar, only to discover one of these mysterious no mint mark nickels resting quietly at the bottom. What once bought a pack of gum suddenly became a coin worth a fortune. The reason this 1978 no mint mark Monticello nickel is so valuable lies in that missing detail. Normally, nickels from Philadelphia that year should bear a mint mark, but a striking error occurred. Some coins left the mint without it, making them incredibly scarce. Collectors are willing to pay handsomely for one today, because each surviving piece is a true accident of history, a perfect storm of rarity and nostalgia. Think of how many people once jingled this exact coin in their pocket, only to spend it on a coffee or hand it over at a diner without a second thought. Countless families let these treasures slip through their hands, never realizing that the same coin could one day be showcased at an auction, commanding bids that climb higher and higher. That missed opportunity is what makes finding one now so thrilling, and so urgent that if you have a Jefferson nickel from 1978, hold it close and look carefully. The front will carry Jefferson's profile, and the back his Monticello home. But what truly matters is the mint mark, or the lack of one. Instead of seeing the usual letter stamped beside Jefferson's image, you will notice it's missing entirely. That absence is not a flaw, it's the key to unlocking its hidden value. If you suspect you found one of these nickels, don't rely on guesswork. Trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC can professionally authenticate and grade the coin, ensuring you know its true worth before you ever part with it. A certified 1978 no-mint mark nickel can bring enormous interest from serious collectors. So, the next time you reach into that old jar of change in your kitchen, or dust off a box of coins your parents left behind, pause for a moment. That little nickel you've overlooked for decades might just be your hidden fortune. History isn't locked away in museums, it's sitting in your hands, waiting to be rediscovered. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, because we help you uncover the past and transform it into your future. 1978. What if a single nickel sitting forgotten in your change jar could hold the power to change your life? Imagine, just 5 cents from 1978, the kind you may have once slipped into a soda machine, could today be worth far more than you ever dreamed. And here's the secret: many collectors are searching desperately for one special Jefferson nickel, struck in Denver, with stories of error, rarity, and hidden value that make it a treasure hiding in plain sight. Back in 1978, America was a country of change. New cars rolled off the lots, gas prices were on the rise, and Jefferson nickels jingled in nearly every pocket. Most people never gave them a second thought. But among the millions minted that year, a few coins carried something extraordinary. Picture this: a collector at a small-town flea market stumbles on a dusty box of coins, picks out what looks like an ordinary nickel, and later realizes it's one of those rare 1978 Monticello nickels. That single coin, overlooked by thousands before, suddenly becomes the centerpiece of a collection, valued not for 5 cents, but for hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. What makes this coin so valuable? It's not just the date. It's the mint mark from Denver, and the fact that certain 1978 Jefferson nickels show striking errors, double dies, weak strikes, or even unusual steps on Monticello that were not meant to pass inspection. When preserved in brilliant condition, these coins are now in high demand, with collectors paying serious money to secure one. They aren't just coins, they're pieces of American history, frozen in time, and growing rarer by the day. Too many times, stories emerge of people unknowingly giving away treasures. A man in Ohio once handed over a roll of old nickels at the bank, never realizing one of them was worth thousands. Can you imagine the regret? Every time a rare 1978 nickel slips through unrecognized, it's like throwing away a piece of hidden wealth. The truth is, these nickels are out there, waiting to be found, and the only question is, will you recognize yours before it's too late? Here's what makes these nickels stand out. The year, of course, is 1978, and the mint mark should be a bold D, placed on the coin's reverse near Monticello. Collectors especially seek those nickels with fully defined steps on Monticello's base, or any sign of doubling on the lettering. If the coin has been kept in excellent condition, untouched by wear, that's where the true magic lies, the difference between 5 cents and a small fortune. If you think you've spotted one, don't second-guess yourself. Reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC are trusted worldwide to confirm authenticity and assign value. A professional dealer can also give you insight, but the key is not to dismiss that coin in your pocket or jar before having it checked. So take a moment, think of that old jar tucked away in your kitchen, the drawer where forgotten change rests, or the box of coins handed down by family. Inside could be the very nickel collectors are chasing today. That's not just money, that's history, that's legacy, that's possibility. Don't let your treasure go unnoticed. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we uncover the hidden wealth of America's coins and help you find the history hiding in plain sight. 1984 P. What if I told you that a simple nickel, the kind you might have tossed into a gumball machine back in the 1980s, could today be worth far more than its face value, even thousands of dollars? Imagine the power of a single coin, forgotten in a jar or hiding in a drawer, holding the key to an unexpected fortune. I remember a story of a man in Pennsylvania who spent his childhood playing with coins from his father's pocket change. Decades later, while sorting through an old box, he spotted a Jefferson nickel that looked oddly sharp and flawless compared to the rest. That coin turned out to be a rare 1984 P. Monticello nickel, one that collectors had been searching for. Suddenly, something he once overlooked became a prized possession, a bridge between the memory of his father and the world of rare coin collecting. The 1984 P. Monticello nickel isn't just any coin. What makes it truly extraordinary is the strength of its strike, the detail in Jefferson's portrait, and the presence of certain rare errors from that year. Some coins from the Philadelphia Mint were struck with such precision that they reveal features collectors crave, while others carry subtle die flaws or doubling that send their value skyrocketing. To the untrained eye, it may look like any other nickel. But to those who know what to look for, it's a discovery worth celebrating, a coin in high demand, chased after by serious collectors willing to pay dearly for it. Far too many of these nickels have slipped through the cracks. People spent them without knowing, passed them down without checking, or simply let them disappear into circulation. Every day, someone unknowingly hands over a piece of history in exchange for 5 cents of candy. That loss is not just financial, it's a chance to hold something rare, something meaningful, something that carries a story from 1984 into the present. Here's what makes this nickel one worth searching for: the date, 1984, must carry the P. Mint mark from Philadelphia. Look closely at Jefferson's profile, the sharpness of his image matters. Flip the coin and pay attention to Monticello. On certain versions, the steps are fully struck, an incredibly rare detail that dramatically increases value. Others show unique doubling, which transforms an ordinary coin into a treasure. If you believe you found one, don't rely on guesswork. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC exist for a reason. They verify authenticity, grade the condition, and establish market value. That little nickel could move from your pocket to a certified holder, and from there, into the hands of eager collectors who recognize its worth. So, before you overlook that old jar of coins sitting in your kitchen, take one more careful look. Because inside, you might find not just a piece of change, but a piece of history, a coin that connects your memories to a brighter future. And if you want to keep uncovering these treasures hiding in plain sight, subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story is worth a fortune. 1987 What if the nickel you held as a child, the same one you slipped into a soda machine or dropped into a jar on your dresser, could be worth far more than its face value today? Imagine finding a single coin from 1987 that collectors now chase with open checkbooks, eager to own a piece of forgotten American history. Let me take you back to the year 1987. The world was changing, Reagan was in the White House, the Cold War was cooling, and Americans were carrying the Jefferson nickel every single day without thinking twice. In Denver, the Mint struck millions of these nickels with the D mark below Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's proud Virginia home. But not every nickel struck that year was ordinary. Among the ocean of coins, a few carried small quirks, subtle imperfections, or details that made them stand apart. These nickels slipped quietly into circulation, waiting decades for collectors to discover their true worth. The reveal, the truth: the 1987 D. Jefferson nickel is not rare because of its year alone, but because certain examples have minting anomalies, full steps on Monticello, sharper strikes, or error features that make them coveted by collectors. While most nickels from that year are worth only face value, the high-grade survivors and error pieces can command hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. And here's the truth: These aren't hiding in museums, they're still in circulation, tucked away in coin jars, forgotten in drawers, and resting in boxes passed down through families. I've spoken to collectors who shared stories of regret. One gentleman remembered cashing in jars of old nickels at the bank without ever checking them. Years later, he learned that one of the coins he likely spent could have been worth over $1,000. Another woman recalled her father tossing his old pocket change into a coin machine, never realizing that among the ordinary nickels, one had the full steps designation that collectors fight over today. Those opportunities slipped away forever, but yours doesn't have to. When you hold a 1987 nickel, check for the D mint mark beneath Monticello on the reverse side. Look closely at the steps of the building. If they are sharp, clean, and fully defined, you may have what collectors call a full steps Jefferson nickel. And always pay attention to striking errors. Doubling on the lettering, off-center strikes, or unusually sharp detail can turn a simple nickel into a treasure. If you suspect you found one, the best way to confirm is to have it examined by trusted grading services such as PCGS or NGC, or by a reputable coin dealer who knows how to spot these hidden gems. So before you dismiss that old change jar in the kitchen or those rolls of nickels sitting in a shoebox, take another look. A simple 1987 D Jefferson nickel could be the hidden treasure that brings both history and value into your hands. This isn't just pocket change, it's a piece of America's story, waiting to be rediscovered. And remember, sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you uncover the history that's been hiding in plain sight. What if I told you that a nickel you held in your hand as a child, just 5 cents to buy a piece of candy, could today be worth thousands of dollars? That's right, a simple Jefferson nickel from 1974, one without a mint mark, has become one of the most mysterious and valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. And the best part? It could be sitting in your change jar right now. Picture this. A man in Ohio, years after retirement, sat at his kitchen table on a quiet Sunday afternoon. He was sorting through a box of old coins he had tucked away since the 70s. At first, it was just nostalgia. The sound of those nickels and pennies clinking together reminded him of simpler times, of walking to the corner store with a handful of change. But then, he noticed something unusual. A 1974 nickel with no mint mark beneath Monticello. He almost overlooked it, but that single coin, something he once spent hundreds of times without thinking, turned out to be worth more than his first car. So what makes this coin so special? In 1974, Jefferson nickels were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. Normally, coins from Denver bear a tiny D mint mark, and those from San Francisco carry an S. But a handful of nickels from Philadelphia were struck without any mint mark at all. This was not supposed to happen. That little missing letter is what transforms an ordinary 5-cent piece into a rare and highly sought-after collector's prize. Now imagine this: how many people had one of these nickels in their pockets, jingling with their loose change, and simply spent it on a soda or a bus ride? Some of these coins slipped through the cracks, lost forever in circulation. People didn't know then what they were holding. And that's where opportunity is knocking for you today, because you do know that if you've held on to your old coins, the hunt is worth it. The date should read 1974, and when you glance just beside Jefferson's portrait, where that mint mark should be, you'll notice its absence. No D, no S, nothing at all. That's the sign you found one of the most talked about nickels in the collecting world. Flip it, admire Monticello on the back, and realize you may be holding a piece of history. If you believe you found one, the best way to be sure is to have it checked by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, or by a reputable dealer in your area. They'll confirm its authenticity and help you understand just how much it could fetch in today's market. So before you walk past that jar of coins on the counter or those dusty boxes in the attic, take another look. Because sometimes, the key to a brighter future isn't in stocks or bonds, but in the coins you've had all along. That old nickel from your childhood could be worth more than you ever dreamed. And if you love uncovering treasures of history hiding in plain sight, make sure you subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where every coin tells a story, and one of them might just change your life. 1998 What if I told you that a simple nickel from the late 1990s, the kind you might have spent on a soda or dropped into a payphone, could today be worth thousands of dollars? Yes, a coin as ordinary as the 1998 Jefferson Monticello nickel has become a hidden treasure that collectors are searching for with incredible urgency. And the best part? You just might have one sitting in a jar or tucked away in an old drawer without even knowing it. I once heard the story of a retired schoolteacher who had saved jars of coins from her years of teaching. She kept them as reminders of the children who used to bring nickels and dimes for lunch money. One day, while sorting through them, she stumbled across a 1998 Jefferson nickel that looked just a little different. That little different turned into a moment that changed her life. A single coin from her past, tied to memories of simpler times, turned out to be a rare collectible worth far more than face value. It was as if history had been sitting quietly in her home, waiting to be rediscovered. So what makes the 1998 Jefferson nickel so valuable? It comes down to its mint mark, its date, and in some cases, specific die errors that set it apart. The Denver Mint produced millions of nickels that year, but only a fraction carry the unique characteristics that collectors desperately want. Sharp details on Monticello, stronger strikes, and rare die varieties make these coins rise above the ordinary. While most nickels are still worth just 5 cents, the right 1998 can fetch thousands at auction because collectors are in fierce competition to own such a scarce piece. Imagine someone spending one of these rare nickels at the corner store, never realizing what they had. It happens more often than you'd think. People give them away, they vanish into circulation, and those small fortunes are lost forever. That is why awareness is so important, because once it slips away, it's gone for good. Here's what you need to keep in mind when you check your coins. First, the date. It must read 1998, and the mint mark D should be just beside Jefferson's portrait, signaling it was struck in Denver. Next, study Monticello on the reverse of the coin. On the valuable versions, the steps of Monticello are crisp and well defined, sometimes referred to as full steps. In addition, look closely for any unusual doubling or striking errors. These small details can transform an ordinary nickel into a collector's dream. If you believe you have one of these treasures, the next step is simple. You don't have to guess. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC specialize in confirming authenticity and assigning value. Even a trusted local coin dealer can guide you, ensuring you don't let a valuable piece of history slip away unnoticed. Think about it: a coin you picked up in your change decades ago, a nickel you might have tossed into an old coffee tin, could now be the key to unlocking something far greater. It's not just about money, it's about history, memory, and the thrill of discovery. So tonight, take a moment to look through those jars, those drawers, those old boxes in the attic. Because inside, you might just find the 1998 Monticello nickel that collectors are scrambling to own. That little piece of change could become your story, your treasure, your legacy. 2000p What if the nickel you once tossed into a gumball machine could now be worth thousands of dollars? Imagine pulling a simple 2000 Jefferson nickel from your pocket change, only to discover it's a treasure that collectors are hunting for today. Picture this: a man in Pennsylvania, sorting through his late father's old coffee can of coins, stumbles upon a handful of nickels. At first glance, they look ordinary, dull, worn, and forgotten by time. But among them is a single 2000p Monticello Jefferson nickel, one that tells a story far greater than its 5-cent face value. This coin, struck at the Philadelphia Mint at the turn of the new millennium, carries with it a quiet legacy. The year 2000 wasn't just a flip of the calendar, it was the dawn of a new century, and the U.S. Mint's presses were working harder than ever. But within that sea of production, rare errors and unique details slipped through, and those are what make this nickel extraordinary today. The truth is simple but powerful: not every 2000p Monticello nickel is special, but certain ones with striking mint errors, sharp die details, or off-center strikes are commanding astonishing prices from collectors. The Philadelphia Mint mark, sitting proudly just beside Jefferson's portrait, can turn an everyday coin into a prized piece if the right flaw or condition is present. The demand for pristine, high-grade examples has soared, with collectors paying thousands for a nickel that most people wouldn't even look at twice. Now here's the heartbreaking part: thousands of these treasures have already been spent unknowingly at grocery stores, vending machines, and gas stations. Imagine someone handing over a coin that could pay for a family vacation, just to buy a soda. That's the tragedy of not knowing what hides in plain sight. When you hold a 2000p Monticello Jefferson nickel in your hand, pay attention to the details. The year must read 2000 with the P mint mark proudly displayed. The coin should be flipped to reveal Monticello on the reverse. Look closely at the steps, the alignment, and the strike. Errors such as doubling, off-center images, or a flawless full-step strike are exactly what collectors are willing to pay a fortune for. These are the hallmarks of a true treasure hiding in your change. If you believe you found one, the next step is to confirm its worth. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC, or trusted coin dealers, can officially certify your nickel, unlocking its full market value. A professional's eye can turn your hunch into undeniable proof. So before you dismiss that old jar of coins sitting in the kitchen, take a second look. Within those nickels could be a piece of history, and perhaps your unexpected fortune. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth far more than 5 cents. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you discover the history hiding in plain sight, because sometimes, the smallest coin can hold the biggest reward. 2006. What if I told you that a simple nickel, the kind you may have tossed into a jar decades ago without a second thought, could now be worth thousands of dollars? That same small coin you once used to buy a soda or pay a parking meter might today be the very key to uncovering a hidden fortune. In 2006, the U.S. Mint reintroduced the familiar image of Monticello on the Jefferson nickel after years of design changes. To most people, it was just another coin sliding quietly into their change purse. But to sharp-eyed collectors, something extraordinary happened. A batch of these Denver-minted nickels left the presses carrying small, unusual details, errors so rare that only a handful survived. Imagine someone picking up a handful of change at the gas station, not knowing that one tiny coin in their palm could one day sell for more than a car. These stories are not fairy tales, they are part of numismatic history, and they are happening to ordinary people who simply pay attention. The 2006 D. Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel is special because of its minting anomalies. Struck in Denver, certain coins came out with doubled images on the inscriptions, slightly off-center strikes, or flaws in the Monticello detail itself. These imperfections, barely noticeable to the casual eye, have made them treasures in the collecting world. What makes them so valuable is not just their rarity, but also the fact that most people overlook them. They spend them, they ignore them, they let them slip away. While collectors know they're holding gold disguised as nickel, too many people have already lost their chance. There are stories of individuals who unknowingly spent these coins at face value, handing over a potential 5-figure treasure for a simple pack of gum. Others swept them up in coin-counting machines, gone forever into circulation, never realizing what they had. Each one spent is a story of lost opportunity, and each story is a reminder that the next coin in your pocket could be the one that changes everything. So what should you keep your eyes on? The date must read 2006, with that bold little D mint mark resting proudly beneath the year. On the reverse, Monticello should be sharp, but the rare ones reveal slight doubling in the lettering or weakness in the dome that collectors crave. Even a slight misalignment of the strike can turn a 5-cent piece into a small fortune. And always check the edges and inscriptions, because it's the tiny flaws that hold the greatest value. If you suspect you found one, don't leave it to chance. Professional services like PCGS or NGC can grade and authenticate your coin, giving you not just peace of mind but also the power to sell it for its true worth. A simple verification can turn a kitchen drawer discovery into a certified piece of American history. Think about that jar of coin sitting quietly in your kitchen, or the old change tucked away in a dresser. Inside could be the very nickel that transforms your tomorrow. These aren't just coins, they are timeless treasures, pieces of America's story waiting for you to uncover. Subscribe to Timeless Treasures, where we help you find the history hiding in plain sight, because the past may just pay for your future.